An estimated 1 in 6 people in Britain live in social housing. Britain's housing officers are at the sharp end.
Hello? There is not enough social housing. There's not enough to meet the demand.
They deal with around 10 million people day in, day out.
This is the good part.
Most are good tenants, but some risk everything with their antisocial behaviour.
Right, what are you not doing?
We have a problem.
This week, one tenant needs help.
I'd just like to have my home to myself.
You've got to leave. You can't stay here anymore.
A housing team struggle to address the growing problem of overcrowding.
Very, very frustrated, very angry, very upset, as I knew she would be.
Really desperate for a bigger house.
And a whole estate is living in limbo.
I really can't cope with it no more. I feel like going home and crying.
We just don't know what's going to happen to these people at the moment.
In one housing association in Lancashire, the local housing officers deal with everything from antisocial behaviour and neighbourhood disputes to the allocation of new homes and support for the elderly. In Cone, Housing Officer Sandra Proctor has been called to a sheltered housing scheme, where neighbours have reported several incidents of intimidating behaviour by a young man believed to be living with his grandmother.
The grandmother lives in a sheltered flat, 1 bedroom, ground floor flat, and a grandson. I'm not sure if I think she's been intimidated by her grandson a little bit. We're getting a lot of complaints. He's having some of his friends round, some visitors. We just want to keep an eye on her as well, because obviously if she's being intimidated but doesn't want to tell us, we just need to keep an eye on her.
Elderly neighbours have reported a recent incident involving Jean's grandson banging on their doors in the middle of the night. He's been in prison before, and now Sandra believes he may be breaking the terms of his grandmother's tenancy by living with her against her wishes. Sandra and her colleague Carolyn have been told that Jean might need help getting him to move out.
Hiya.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Thank you. He's doing enough now. I'm not going for him. I'm not.
Hiya.
You shouldn't have had him. You should have had hold of him.
The reason we're here is Lee.
Oh, is it?
It's Lee. Do you want him here?
No.
No.
No,
He's a
yeah.
big boy now and he should be able to look after himself. He's upsetting your neighbours.
Yeah, he is.
He is. I mean, you know, what happened the other week was quite frightening for some of the neighbours round here.
Yeah, I'm very aware.
But you keep letting him in, don't you?
Well, what can you do?
You're going to have to be really hard.
When you can see him, they haven't had no to eat.
Does he have a key? Does he have a key?
No.
So where does he stay at night time?
Here, and that's a day.
Right, he can't stay here anymore.
No.
Do you want us to tell him?
Yes, please, if you will.
Yeah?
Yeah, might be out looking for that.
You can't live like this. Seen you a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah? What I need you to do, you've got to leave. You can't stay here anymore.
Right.
This is her flat and it's a 1-bedroom flat.
Yeah.
And you can't stay here anymore.
Right, that's enough for now. All right.
I'm not kicking you out now, but what I'm saying is...
Looking at for dog,
Lee,
Yeah.
Lee,
Lee, come back, she wants you.
No, I'm straight.
Eh?
right, what we'll do is then, I'm going to send you a letter. It's not going to be a very nice letter,
Yeah.
right? But I want you to show Lee the letter when it comes, all right? So don't get mad at me next time I come and say you were the lady that sent me the nasty letter, all right? But I'm going to spell it out to you and to him to say he cannot stay here anymore and that he's got to leave. A grandson, I think he takes advantage of her an awful lot and has done for a long time. He's nearly 30. He should be on his own now. He shouldn't be, you know, getting stuff off his grandma all the time. She's only on a pension. She hasn't got much money. But hopefully he'll take the hint and realise that he can't stay.
Although she doesn't want Lee to stay with her, Jean is finding it difficult to ask him to leave.
Lee lost his mum. Lee's mum were my daughter. Now, she died with cancer. Since his mum died, we'll say over this last 10 years, he's tried to be a tough guy. He were being like a gangster. Always in bother.
How long have you been staying here for, Lee, do you know?
About 2 years now.
So if you weren't living here, where would you be?
I don't know.
In Oldham, Housing Officer Sandra manages 350 homes in a predominantly Asian area. 3/4 of her tenants are Muslim, and many of them live in large families, meaning a growing demand for bigger homes.
The biggest problem we face as a housing association is overcrowding, because when we originally house people, they're adequately housed in the houses that we offer them to. And then as the family grows, the property then becomes overcrowded, so that's an issue that we're always tackling.
Nearly 250,000 families in social housing are classified as overcrowded. In Oldham, the problem affects 1 in every 10 homes.
Well, this is a mixed estate. There's quite a few Pakistani families, Bangladeshi families and white families. We've got large 5-bed houses. We've got 4 beds, 3 beds and 2 beds. There's no single person accommodation on here.
7 members of the Anwar family live in a 3-bedroomed house on the estate. The Housing Association class them as severely overcrowded.
My dad is...
The Anwar's daughter has her own room, which means the 4 boys, aged from 4 to 17, all share 1 bedroom. They've been waiting for a new home for the last 3 years.
I'm again and again giving them an application for the bigger house, and two or three times they offered me, but they have to cancel that offer.
There are 18,000 social housing properties in Oldham, but only 700 of these have more than 3 bedrooms. These large family homes rarely become available, and a significant number are occupied by tenants who no longer need the extra space.
The demand is going up and up and up, so you've got to find some ways to make better use of the stock that's around, and one of those is, I suppose, about trying to encourage people who are under-occupying to consider moving to smaller properties, and that may well mean, giving people incentives to do that. It could be cash incentives, it could simply be incentives around offering support. I think, particularly if you're an older person, you've lived somewhere for a long time, the prospect of moving houses is hugely daunting.
Over the road from the Anwars, there is a 4-bedroomed house which is currently home to just 2 people. It's been the Ali's family home for 15 years. Now all but one of their 5 children has grown up and moved out. Usually, tenants are allowed to stay in their homes, even if they have more rooms than they need. But as Mr. Ali and his wife recently separated, their joint tenancy has automatically been ended, and he and his daughter Rabia have to move out.
We honestly thought we could have kept it, because we've been staying here for nearly 15 years, so it's all about memories, isn't it? It's all about feeling comfortable in the community as well. We're just really unsettled because of the situation. We really, really want to stay here, but at the end of the day, we're trying to be moral as well to other people, because, they need the space more than we do.
Mr. Ali is worried about moving away from the area and has turned down several offers of smaller houses because they were too far away.
I am settled in this area. When we're going out, everybody asking each other, how is your? So if we're going in somewhere else, we are the stranger.
As Mr. Ali and Rabia no longer have a valid tenancy, they will have to leave. But at the local housing association, Manager Karen Hyland would prefer them to leave voluntarily.
You could say morally, we've got a duty to use our stock to its fullest to address under-occupation and overcrowding. Mr. Ali is a fairly elderly gentleman, and he's got 1 adult daughter with him, and they could perfectly adequately live in a much smaller home and release this home for a family who are probably living in desperately overcrowded circumstances elsewhere. I don't want to see Mr. Ali suffer. This is not personal. It's really just about getting the job done and trying to suit everybody's needs. If he doesn't go voluntarily, it will be repossessed.
In Colne, there have been more complaints from local residents about antisocial behaviour by Jean's grandson Lee. One of the tenants who's been affected is Sue, who lives opposite Jean.
The disturbances are regular, quite loud, drink and drugs. He's been violent, running up and down, smashing things. When somebody picks up a broom handle or a shovel handle and batters on the door, shouting, "Grandma, Grandma, let me in," for half an hour, there's no way you can avoid it. It's affecting my life. You know, I'm in a sheltered flat for a reason, and I don't want to be wakened up at 4:30 by somebody shouting and banging and carrying on and crashing about.
In an attempt to resolve the situation, Sandra is back to see Lee and his grandma, this time with a support worker. She's hoping he'll be able to help find Lee a place of his own.
Stay at the door. Look, that's a footprint. That'll be his footprint on the... Look at the state of it. This is a serious problem.
Yeah.
OK. We have got so many people who are complaining about you. 3 o'clock in the morning, you've been banging on people's doors.
And I'll tell you for why. He's been taking some stuff.
Beer.
No, not just the beer. Some of these, one of these, what they call it, things that they have going round.
Drugs, you mean?
That's it.
All these flats, you've got elderly people and they are absolutely terrified of you and your friends. The options I have now, right, one of the options is to go for an injunction against you to keep you completely away from this whole area, which means that if you turn up just to visit your grandma, you will be arrested.
Yeah.
That's what an injunction is.
Yeah.
Is that what you want me to do? Is that the road you want me to go down so you can't even visit your grandma?
No.
I'd just like to have my home to myself, like I did at first.
Yeah. Get your own place, grow up a bit. If you want to drink in your own place, that's your issue. I'm concerned about your grandma and other residents in this area.
Yeah.
She wants a bit of peace, don't you, Jean? Yeah? Do you not want your own place?
I do, yeah.
Well, will you just have a bit of a chat with Peter then, and then we'll see where we go from here? All right.
Sandra is hoping that if Lee can be found a new home, she won't have to take more serious action against him.
I genuinely think she doesn't want him there, but she doesn't want to see him on the street either. Maybe the threat of other things, maybe that'll have some effect on him. We'll see.
On the outskirts of Oldham, Lee Holden is the housing officer in charge of the Doyle Close estate. 2/3 of the residents were recently moved to new homes when the estate was earmarked for demolition. But more than 30 tenants are still living there.
The problem is at the moment is with the change of government, funding has run out, so we don't know when they're coming down. It's all a little bit up in the air at the moment.
The demolition of the recently vacated flats has already been agreed, but there's now a big question mark over whether the occupied flats will still be demolished. The remaining residents are in limbo, not knowing when or even if they'll be able to move.
We've got blocks where there may be 3 or 4 tenants in there, and some where there's, 2 or 3. We've not done any repairs on these properties for a number of years because they were earmarked for demolition. So these people are living in properties that aren't what I would say up to standard at all.
Some of the remaining residents have packed up their homes, and all are desperate for news about when they'll be moving.
So how have you all been?
Not good.
Why, what's the matter?
Fed up. I'm sick of living here now. The damp in the house is absolutely disgusting.
Can I have a look at where the damp is?
Yeah, if you want.
Sure.
Danielle has lived in her one-bedroom flat with her partner and their daughter for almost 3 years.
Can you smell it already?
Smells musty, yeah, I have to say.
What?
Oh, right, yeah, it is, isn't it?
I've been saying that now for 2 years. They keep on saying, can't do nothing about it, can't do nothing about it.
Is that mainly because these have been put in for demolition?
Yep.
Right,
and it's all above my door as well. Front door.
If you don't mind, can I just take some pictures of it?
The demolition of the Doyle Close estate was to be part of a national regeneration scheme to replace poor quality housing with new homes. But the scheme has recently been put on hold, leaving the residents facing an uncertain future.
I've no information for them at all.
Right, so you're a bit of a spokesman now?
Yeah, well, they elected me for some reason. So we all really want to move.
Yeah,
we don't want me here.
No, I understand that. I totally understand that.
I mean, they've just let them go. They're not, keeping them on top of them, and they've just gone rack now. They're ruined.
Yeah, we do need to make them a little bit more winter-friendly, if you like, but I don't know what the plan is in terms of doing that. It is very much on our priority list, but it's, the wheels go very slow. They feel they've been left behind, to be honest. They feel like they're being fobbed off. Quite understandably, really, because they've been told one thing and now all of a sudden it's been pulled away from them. It's very difficult for me. I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place because they know, unfortunately, just as much as I do. We just don't know what's going to happen to these people at the moment.
In Oldham, the Anwar family are still looking for a bigger home. And across the road, despite being told to move out, Mr. Ali and his daughter are still in their 4-bedroomed house. To try and speed up the situation for the Anwars and to avoid evicting Mr. Ali, Housing Manager Karen has come up with an unorthodox plan. A 3-way house swap.
If I can find AXA tenants where we might be able to manage a 3-way swap. I know, bit of a headache, but Mr. Ali can release a 4-bed and go into a 2. Hopefully I can find somebody in a 2-bed who needs a 3, and the person in the 3-bed can go in the 4. That's the plan.
After searching through their records, Karen has found a family in a 2-bedroomed house who've been waiting for a bigger property for the past 2 years. Samir lives less than a mile away from Mr. Ali, and since having her 3rd son, she's been classified as overcrowded.
This is my bedroom. The baby's in his cot over there. It's getting on top of me now where I'm just really desperate for a bigger house. Because it's getting really difficult. And they're all going to be like up there soon, aren't they?
If Samir is happy to move to the Anwar's 3-bedroomed house, then Karen could put her plan of a 3-way swap into action. In theory, it should be simple. Today, Karen has asked them all to come in for a meeting to discuss the idea of the 3-way swap.
Hello, Mr. Ali. Is Rabia not with you today?
No.
No?
The house swap could be Mr. Ali's best chance of finding a new 2-bedroom home and avoiding eviction.
If Mr. Ali, for whatever reason, was the one family here who is against this happening, I think I will have run out of options for Mr. Ali, and I'll have to put my cards on the table and say, I can't facilitate anything better than this. So, we're going to have to make the possession of the property start to commence the proceedings. I really, really don't want it to come to that, and I'm sure it won't, but that could be an issue if, Mr. Ali decided, no, I'm not interested in doing this. You 3 families may very well be able to facilitate each other's housing needs. Mr. Ali, you're in a 4-bed, and as we've discussed in the past, you need a 2-bed. You're in a 2-bed and ideally need a 3, and you're in a 3-bed and ideally would like a 4. In very, very simple terms, what we're suggesting is get a 3-way swap. I don't expect you to make an instant decision. That's kind of the idea. You've definitely decided? What, that you're interested?
Yeah. Have you seen Mrs. Anwar's house already?
No, you should take a view, please.
Yeah.
Now, you've not said much, Mr. Ali. I do need you to understand that because of the circumstances of where you are with occupying, you're not really in a position to say no to this idea.
No, I'm not saying no.
If you think of the long-term benefits of making this happen,
of course.
I think it's an opportunity that we have to take, that you all have to take. Moving house is a big deal for all of us, so hopefully he'll go home, think it through, run it by his daughter, and he will conclude that, yes, this is a good idea, and it works and it suits his needs as much as anyone else's.
I'm quite happy, obviously, but, I hope it goes through and hope nothing goes wrong. I mean, I'm up for it, and I know Miss Anwar is.
I want a bigger house, so I think I will do everything which I need to move over there.
If the swap goes ahead, it will mean 2 families' overcrowding problems will be solved.
Yeah, it's a win-win situation for everybody. We just need to convince Mr. Ali of this.
On the outskirts of Oldham, The empty flats on the Doyle Close estate are being prepared for demolition. But there's still no decision on the future of the remaining occupied flats.
We've got about 32 to 33 tenants left. As you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 empty blocks, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks that are partially occupied. The tenants, they do feel particularly aggrieved because everything around them's been knocked down and they're left slap bang in the middle.
Margaret, one of the tenants, has lived in her flat for 15 years. She's been packed and ready to move for months.
When I found out we were moving, I did some packing, and then we got letters saying we weren't going to be moving for the moment until they found out if they had the money for us. So I just left the boxes in case I get word saying that we can move. I'd love to move, you know, and get settled somewhere else instead of living here and living like this, not knowing what's happening.
While the future of the flats has been in doubt, there have been no repairs carried out. Now, many of the windows are so badly weather damaged, the wooden frames are falling apart.
Needs repairing. And I've reported it, and I'm still waiting for them to come and fix it.
We are unable to say with any confidence that new homes are going to be built in the future. We cannot give any promises to people who are on our waiting lists about that situation improving. And it makes it very difficult when we know what the need is out there and that we can't meet it.
In Cone, Jean's grandson Lee still hasn't found a place to live. Today, Lee's support workers and a private landlord are showing him a room in a shared house, just a couple of miles away from his grandma's flat.
And then the room that's available is this room, Lee.
Right.
Okay. As you can see, it's a very, very good sized room. You'll be able to get an armchair or a two-seater sofa.
Yeah.
You'll even be able to get a fridge in here.
Yeah.
The way the tenancy's run is you're responsible, mate.
Yeah.
If your friends come in and trash it, I'm going to come to you.
Yeah.
Because you're on the tenancy chart.
Right.
It's clearly stated on the tenancy that
I'll be
you're
on my own, probably.
You need to go away and think about it, Lee.
Yeah, I'll do, yeah.
There's no commitment from you as we speak. Nobody else will be looking at the property.
Right, cheers.
Absolutely.
Thanks to the help from his support worker, Lee now has the opportunity to get his own place.
Are you going to talk to your grandma about it?
Yeah.
What do you reckon she'll think?
Should be buzzing, mate.
You've got people who are desperately trying to make their way in the world, and those are the kind of people you want to help, because you know that when they go into a home, they will look after it and they will be a valuable part of the community. There's others who just make you so frustrated. You know they're never, ever going to change.
Despite the possibility for a fresh start, Lee didn't take the room.
Now then, here, look, it's filthy, it's down the floor.
2 weeks later, Lee was arrested on suspicion of stealing his grandma's £200 pension.
What he'd done were, gone up Cone, spent all the money on clothes for himself, and made himself look really posh. I mean, I hadn't two halfpennies for a penny. Crack, I mean, I was waiting for that money. I'd gone nearly another half a week without any pension. I think he's and I say it, a shit house. Should I not have said that?
Lee's crime has been the talk of the estate, and Jean's neighbour Sue has been following the case.
Spared, the thief who steals from his grandma. This is in the paper about Lee. A mean thief who keeps stealing from his pensioner grandma has been spared jail after helping himself to a pension top-up. If he'd been given a custodial sentence, the problem would have been solved straight away, but he's still around. He can still come to the area and do what he was doing before. It's very disappointing.
Lee needs serious help, and I don't know, it's not our job to give it. We can't do it anymore. We've tried everything we can possibly do, but he's not engaging with anything. And we are going for an injunction, hopefully with the power of arrest, to keep Lee away, not only from her address, but from the whole area. I think the problem with Jean is she sees herself as the only person he's got, and it's a grandson, and she feels very sorry for him. But I'm hoping that this last episode where he stole quite a lot of money from her, hopefully that will make her see a bit of sense.
Have you had something to take, Jane?
Yes, I've had 4, what they call it.
After stealing her pension, Lee hasn't been back to his grandma's for a while, and Jean's neighbour Donald has been looking out for her.
Come on, Flower, are you coming in?
I am, yeah.
But Sandra is worried that Lee might come back.
Hi, Donald. You keep your front door locked now?
Oh, yes, always.
And, I mean, can you promise me that if Lee comes, you won't open the door?
Yeah, all right.
Just
then,
don't
yeah.
open the... Because he's not allowed in here, really. And
No, he's not.
And you know, don't you?
That's what I keep saying to him.
We'll get it all sorted, but we just need a bit of help from you.
Okay,
All right, Jean. You come and lock this door after me.
I will.
Primarily, our job is to let properties and keep people in the properties and keep them happy. And when you're going in telling somebody you can't see your grandson anymore, well, that's like against what we're here for. But we're doing it for our own good, really. I don't know, it's really hard. It is, it's really hard. And it's very, very sad. And it's not a part of the job that I like.
Just minutes after Sandra has left, Lee is back.
I won't be here, Grandma. I'm going to Burnley now. I'm going to get to Burnley. Oh, wait, see you later.
But this time, Jean is refusing to let him back in.
You all right, Jane? Do you want a cup of tea, mate?
No, you're all right.
It can't carry on like this, Jane. He wanted some money. He said he loves you. He said he loves his grandma.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told him I couldn't let him in through front door.
It's got to come to an end right now. Because it's not on, it's not fair to everybody else. But I mean, when I opened that door and see him stood there in bloody rags and all sorts, what am I supposed to do? I mean, he's my flaming grandson. His mum's in a grave up Cone. What can I say?
In Oldham, Housing Officer Minaz has arranged for Samir and her 3 children to view the Anwar's 3-bedroomed house. It could soon be her family's new home.
Is it 2 double bedrooms and a single bedroom?
Yeah.
This is going to be your room. I want the biggest room. No, you can't have the biggest room. It's got everything that I was looking for, and just waiting for the next step now. Just waiting for Mr. Ali to come.
He needs to accept this for the exchange to go ahead.
Although Mr. Ali and his daughter have to leave their 4-bedroomed home, they don't have to accept a move to Samir's house.
I hope he's positive. Look, it's a nice quiet estate.
You're right.
Hello.
That colour still starts. Yeah. That's what I mean, you'd probably do
I'd leave
it.
That ceiling is lower than our ceiling, isn't it?
Lower?
Yeah.
Not really, it's about the same.
No.
Just a teeny bit lower.
Yeah.
It's cosier. This is less cleaning, Rabia.
Yeah, no. Oh, I thought it would be a bit more smaller, but it's convenient for me and my dad anyway. How do you feel about...
Yeah, it's okay. It's not bad.
Yeah.
But I used to in a big house.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Big space. Always I used to in a big house and big space.
It's going to take him getting used to, I can see.
size-wise. Yeah, you can tell
but
he's
he'll
a
be
bit disappointed
fine.
in
Once he
his
sits in his little corner with his cigarette, he'll be fine.
I'm thinking, okay. All right.
I was expecting them to walk in and say, oh no, it's too small from the 4-bedroom that they've come in from, that they don't like it and we should be offering them something a bit bigger. But no, they're really happy because it's decorated and stuff, so it's just a matter of them picking the stuff up and moving in. So they're quite fortunate. And it's the first time ever we've done a 3-way swap, so that's good.
With Mr. Ali on board, all 3 families should soon be able to move.
The boys, they're excited. They keep asking me now, when are we moving, when are we moving? Hopefully, I can give them some good news today. Tell them that Mr. Ali's come and seen the house and he liked it, so we'll be moving soon.
Three months after they were expecting to move out, the tenants of Doyle Close still don't know what the future holds. As yet, there's been no government decision on funding for regeneration schemes, so Lee has to manage an estate that the tenants are desperate to leave. Even though the occupied flats could still be demolished at any time, Lee wants to persuade her bosses to carry out desperately needed repair works.
The residents feel they can't do another winter in these properties. So really I think that what they want to know is that what's going to happen to the properties. These are decisions that need to be made, high level decisions. Because if we do, substantial repairs to these properties, but then all of a sudden, they get the funding and they're going to be torn down, it's going to be quite a considerable waste of money. So we want to make sure that what we do is right for the business, but also obviously also right for the tenants.
The Doyle Close estate sits on one of the highest points in Greater Manchester, leaving the flats exposed to bad weather.
Which blocks are we concerned with?
Lee has arranged for the head of repairs, Jed Riley, to take a look at the condition of the estate.
Just testing to see whether the frame's rotten.
Oh God.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you can see straight away there's absolutely nothing we can do with those units apart from replace them.
Right.
Even though it might look from a distance okay,
yeah,
they're shot to pieces.
Even though these blocks may yet be demolished, Jed's assessment is that at least 50% of the windows need to be replaced for the flats to make it through the winter.
Yes, it is.
This evening, Lee is back on the estate to meet with the residents, and she's got a little bit of good news. Her boss has agreed to spend money on the urgent repairs.
Just pass this round to you.
She's put together a schedule of works, but it might not be the news that the tenants are hoping for.
I've been fighting for us to get some funding because, believe you me, trying to get money to do repairs on properties that are earmarked for demolition is really hard, OK? And we've had to fight to try and get you some interim repairs done on your properties until as such time they're going to be demolished.
We don't know when they're coming down and we're moving, do we?
Right, I can't give you any information about when the properties, or if the properties, are going to be coming down. This is happening, sort of countrywide, spending cuts everywhere, and it's no excuse. And I know when it's happening to you, it feels like you're being victimised and you feel totally, out on a limb.
With demolition work set to continue on the empty blocks and only basic repairs on the horizon, the majority of tenants still want to move.
I know a hell of a lot of people who have moved from another 2-bedroom house to a different area in Oldham to another 2-bedroom house. Nothing wrong, but yet again I'm still waiting.
Unfortunately, we cannot help it. There is not enough social housing. There's not enough to meet the demand, OK? You're in a property, albeit it's not a property you want to live in, so it has to go on priority, OK? And you are all now standard priority. I can't change that, unfortunately. This is a national thing that's happening at the moment, but the problem is I've got to deal with it at a local level. And, when you're not getting the answers from, up on high, there is not a lot I can do for these people. There's only so much, money to go around, and unfortunately there's no money left for them at the moment.
On the other side of Oldham, despite the tenants' initial enthusiasm, the housing team's three-way swap has ground to a halt. The Anwar family have decided to pull out and have arranged their own swap with their next-door neighbours. And Mr Ali has been offered another property by a different housing association, so he no longer wants to move to Samia's house.
He said that it was a nice house, but it were too small. I don't think he felt like that was the house for us, you know.
The housing team could have easily replaced the Anwars in the three-way swap. Finding an overcrowded family to move from a 3 to a 4-bedroom house wouldn't be hard. But finding a replacement for Mr Ali, who's moving from a 4 to a 2-bedroom property, is just too difficult. It falls to housing manager Karen to break the news to Samia.
I know she'll be disappointed. She might even be thinking about packing and stuff, so I think I should tell her. Hiya, is that Samia? Samia, the reason I'm ringing you is unfortunately to let you know that the three-way swap that we were trying to put together is not going to happen now because Mr Ali, who was key to making it happen, has been offered a property by a different association and has decided to take it. Mr Ali, for you, was the key player, if you like, because he was the one coming out of a 4 and into the 2. All right, Samir, bye-bye. Bye. Desperately disappointed, very, very frustrated, very angry, very upset, as I knew she would be.
I'd just come out of the shower and everything, and I got the bad news, and I started crying afterwards because, you know, I emotionally let go of this house and I was ready to move, and the kids were looking forward to it, and I packed up everything, and I thought, right, it's definitely going to go through, there's nothing that can go wrong, but, you know, what can I say? I'm really, really angry. I'm really upset about it all, actually.
The new house that Mr Ali and Rabia have found is bigger than Samia's and is closer to their family.
It's a terraced house, so the front room and the kitchen space is a bit more bigger, and they've got 2 double rooms upstairs, plus the fact that it's not far from my brother's, you see, so we're trying to keep the family connection as well. My dad's got his heart set on that house now.
What started off as a genuine attempt to try and address, you know, a few families' housing problems and try and make the best use of our stock, clearly at the minute feels to be more trouble than it's worth. But if you don't ever try these things, you know, inertia, everybody stays put, nothing happens, nothing gets any better. So as frustrating as it is, I would still, you know, if this scenario were to come along again, we'd still try and make it happen for people. Another day in housing. There we go.
Just a few days after Lee's meeting with the tenants of the Doyle Close estate, the government announced that its housing market renewal scheme was to be abolished. Demolition of the empty blocks will continue, but with no funding for the regeneration scheme, the occupied blocks will be left standing, and the remaining tenants will have to stay in their flats until further notice.
We're living on a building site, and it's not nice for anyone to live on a building site.
With demolition of the empty blocks underway, the first of the replacement windows are being fitted in the occupied flats.
A lot of people do want windows, a lot of people do want new front doors, but a lot of people would rather them just move them off this estate.
There's not a lot you can do, really, is there? You've just got to sit and wait, see what happens. Just want to know one way or the other if they are definitely coming down so I can move on.
In an attempt to make the best of his situation, Jimmy, who had been the tenant's spokesman, has started to redecorate his flat.
There's more than minor repairs, there's major repairs need doing on these flats. I am resigning the fact I can't see us moving after the last meeting we had, and in fact I'd be 99% certain that they're not going to move us now. I really think that we'll be staying here for a while.
Today, Mr Ali and Rabia are moving out. Their 4-bedroomed house will soon be allocated to a new family. After 3 years of waiting, the Anwars are moving too, but not to Mr. Ali's. The house swap they've arranged with their neighbours means they now have a much-needed 4-bedroomed home.
I'm happy and satisfied, and thanks God I got this house, and I finally have make everything which I need at the moment.
Meanwhile, Samir remains in her 2-bedroomed house with her 3 sons. She's still looking for a new home.
The properties come up every Thursday, so it's kind of exciting to switch it on and see what's new, and it's really disappointing when there isn't. Sometimes there's not even any 3-bedroom properties. It's become part of my life now. Every Thursday I go on and check what's on. I'm just going to keep on bidding, and nothing really I can do apart from wait to see what comes up next.
After consulting with a solicitor, Sandra has decided to go ahead with injunction proceedings to keep Lee away from his grandma's flat. But now she's heard from police that once again he's living somewhere he shouldn't be. It appears that he's staying a couple of miles away with one of his grandma's old neighbours on another sheltered scheme for the over 55s.
Doesn't look like he's in, or he's not answering. It could all be starting somewhere else. He might decide that he can't stay at his grandma's, so he comes somewhere else. This is one of our properties, so that if we got an injunction against him on the area where his grandma is, and then he came here, then we'd go for another one here. It's just a case of chasing him round. You know, that's what we have to do, just to try and make tenants feel a bit secure, and let them know that we are doing something and they're not just being left.
For now at least, Jean is enjoying having her own space.
It's like heaven. I can sit down and have my meal when I want. I can sit down and have my meal because I know I have some. It hasn't been eaten before me. And I can go to bed when I want, instead of having to sit up sometimes 3 o'clock in middle at night. Now that I'm here on my own, I have a life.
Coming up here on BBC One, Life Without Work and how it hits the family. Jobless is next.